All right, so tonight we are going to be talking about the power of three-way calls, thanks to Miss Erica, who said, "Oh, I need you to talk about that." So, Erica, I'm going to ask everybody to unmute if you could, because I want to do this as a conversation, not me just talking at you. And I'm going to find something I had for you over here. So, Erica, you said last week, you said, "Oh, I did a three-way call, and you felt like it didn't go very well." So tell us more about that.
Well, normally I like to be kind of prepared, and I wasn't prepared really. So normally I just kind of lean on Ellen, and she takes care of me. But this was me putting myself in Ellen's position with my downline. And I just felt like I wasn't maybe facilitating the call well like I would like to be.
Okay, tell me more about that. What did you feel that you felt like didn't go well? And we can barely hear you too, by the way. So
I wonder if it's because I have my headphones plugged in.
Can't hear you at all now.
Hold on a second.
Oh, there we go.
Better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I think it has something to do with wearing the headphones. It seems to change the microphone. Anyhow, I felt like I fumbled for the right questions to ask, for one. So, and kind of in the same way that when we share Juice Plus with somebody and then we follow up and then we ask for the sale, I feel like that's a very natural flow. And I had a really hard time essentially asking for the sale at the end of the call. I just kind of was like, all right, well, that's really great. Like, okay, Christy, will follow up with you. If you have questions, holler. Like, I just felt like I kind of flopped.
Well, first of all, I think that was actually probably appropriate in some cases. So one, great job on doing it. You know, what is a three-way call? Well, it's really a way to create a connection with somebody other than you, right? And you want to be able to ask people, you know, to help you to do those with people that you're talking to. And you also want to do those for people in your team. And the reason is whether you like it or not, you're never going to be a prophet in your own land. I mean, how many of you guys have ever had your sister or your mom or somebody not even going to talk to you about Juice Plus, right? And you tell them the same thing that your friend told them, and then they thought that was a great idea. Anybody ever have that happen? Mm-hmm. Right. So unfortunately, you're just never a prophet in your own land. The other reason we want to use them is sometimes we might have somebody that maybe they've got some technical questions that we don't feel like we would answer as well as somebody else. That's a great time to set somebody up to come and ask, you know, can you help me answer these questions with this person? So, but either way too, when you have a new person who has joined your team, we also want to connect them to the team. So, you know, introducing them to somebody, asking them to share their story with somebody from your team, like, oh my gosh, my friend who got me started with this, she would love to hear your story. Would you mind, you know, I'd love to connect you to. I think you have a lot in common. You're both moms or whatever. You know, would you be willing to share your story with her? I've told her a lot about you. So it's just a way to kind of bridge that gap, just like we do with fruits and vegetables in a capsule, right? So there's a lot of reasons why we use a three-way call. So Erica, I think you did a great job of doing it. I think the first one is always, because you're a little worried. So here's a couple of tips, and I'd love to have you guys chime in on this. But if somebody asked me to do a three-way call for them, so let's say I was in Erica's place like she was last week, you know, my first thing is what is it you would like me to talk to them about? Okay, so it's not just general. Like, I don't want to get on a three-way call and then go, I wonder if they worried about this, or wonder if they, you know, had a question about that, and I feel like I'm fishing and fishing and fishing. That's not what we want to do. Okay, we want to say, you know, what is the purpose of the call? What did you tell them? What information have you given them so far? And that way too, when I get on the call with them, I can say, oh, well, Erica told me a lot about you. I'm so excited to meet you. And I hear that you've got a little question around, whether Juice Plus is safe with pregnancy or whatever. I so appreciate that question, something like that. Okay. So you can get right to the point without feeling like it's yeah. Okay. Which people are kind of always a little suspicious of that. It's to the point. Okay. So Erica, did you feel like you found out what the reason for the call was?
Not really. I mean, honestly, it's Christy. She's on my team. She's on the call tonight. Awesome. And so it's a potential customer of hers that she's been kind of talking to and planting seeds for quite some time now. And we're just trying to kind of solidify a little bit more. Plus, it was obviously action game, extra points for a three-way connection call. So we were like, who can we have connection calls with?
Perfect. So Christy, so how did you feel like that connection call went?
Erica, are you talking the one with Katie?
She's saying
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the one with Katie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, that's just starting out with Juice Plus and that. I always like to listen to, whether it's Erica or somebody else talking that knows what they're talking about better than what I'm talking about. And I have, and I know Erica has a little bit been talking to Katie for a long time, and she is a harder sale, so to speak, because of her illnesses, and she's just not there yet to believe that Juice Plus will help her in the way that, it can. So no matter what we said, she was always going to come back with, but I have this, I have that going on. And so it's just a struggle right now. And for me to do these in general and to know what I'm talking about, and I have to get familiar with the stuff and familiar with what I need to say to be able to, yes, we're going to have this three-way call with Erica, and we're going to talk about the products, and Erica does an awesome job of knowing what she's talking about, and I just have to get used to knowing what I'm talking about to really make it where they're like, I want to try this. You guys, so, it's going well for you guys. I want to try this too. So
right.
It's just, for me, I have to get used to it.
You did something that I think was just really the most important thing, is that you edified Erica.
No.
As the person that is inviting that person to the call, you want to really promote your speaker, right? Your person. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to talk to my friend Erica. She's been doing, she knows so much about this. So you really want to edify her, and you did that. So good job. So that's another point, is make sure you edify your speaker, right? Especially when you're introducing them. I have to say, the person that does the best job of that, I think, on our team that I do three-way calls with, well, and all of you do a really good job, but who does an exceptional job is Jenna Platt. She always, the first thing she does is she gets on, and I don't know if you've done any three-ways with Jenna, but she always does a really good job of kind of setting it up of, oh, I'm so excited, for you to speak to Reagan, and Reagan, I can't wait, I'm so glad you get to meet her. And she edifies both the person doing the three-way and the person that's on the three-way. So that's kind of how we open it up, is with some edification, okay? And sometimes I'll just say, okay, well, I'm so glad to meet you. I hear you have some questions, what can I answer for you? And I usually already know what has been talked about. And if I know that I have somebody who's going to always have the objection, I might just address that and say, I hear you're pretty skeptical. I can appreciate that. So remember that when we use the buffer, I can appreciate that. Mm-hmm. That lets their guard down a little bit and say, gosh, and sometimes I'll share my story. When I first heard about Juice Plus, I was super skeptical as well. Tell me, what are the questions you have? What are you doing now for XYZ problem? What else have you tried? So those are some of the questions, because What I am really trying to do here as the person doing the three-way call is to find out what is their need, what is their level of interest, and what is it that they need. Okay, my job on a three-way call is not to sell them, right? I'm not here to sell them. I'm here to find out, can I solve a problem for them? Okay, do you guys feel how that changes it a little bit? Okay, so I may not even tell them anything about Juice Plus until I kind of know what's going on with them. And I've had three-way calls before where they're like, look, I've tried everything. I'm not going to try anything else. And I'll just say, gosh, you know what, good luck with that. Please let us know if, you ever are interested in knowing more. We really believe it could help. And we'd love to do that when you're ready. And it's been just a nice, like, okay, we're done, and that's okay. Sometimes they'll go, no, well, we'll wait. I want to know this, and this. So sometimes people have been so sick for so long that they don't think anything's going to help. And we just need to honor some of those people. And sometimes you guys, they're, we have to honor their journey. And sometimes their journey is to be sick, right? Tracy, you work with people that are sick all the time. And sometimes there's a reason why they stay in your office for years, right? Audrey, you too? Jen, you too? Yeah, so, you just kind of want to get to the point and, find out how can we help, all right? What else? Who else has had a three-way call? Where else do we use three-way calls?
Missy and I did a three-way call once with the Spanish-speaking person.
Oh, that's great. Bridging
Yes.
a gap with language. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Yeah.
Well, it was, I don't know, I think it was about the business, first of all. We were talking to her about the business. And correct me if I'm wrong, Misty, but I think that she had already been in other companies, and she wanted to know what was in it for her, basically, and what could she get, why was it going to be good for her. And she did sign up, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well because, I could she speaks a little English and she could understand something, but Judy could speak to her, and make sense out of things that she wasn't quite grasping from me. So that was a terrific thing to be able to do.
And what happened the week after that? Where did she go?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, we went to our boot camp, and she was so excited to be at that boot camp. And she said just some wonderful things. When we left, she said, no one has ever treated me like that. It was so beautiful there. People talked to me and asked me questions. And so it was really exciting for her to have that connection with Judy and then to have it at boot camp. So it was great.
See, isn't that great? Isn't that fun? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the next thing is you also want to have, like, what is the, when I say what's the purpose of the call, I'm talking to Jenna, right? She says, hey, we're going to do a three-way call with me or whatever, right? I'll say, what's the purpose of the call? And so, well, I've been talking to this person about joining my team. She had some questions, and I might ask Jenna some questions before I do the call and say, well, what do you like about her? What are her strengths? What do you think that her objections are going to be? So we kind of know that ahead of time, and I can kind of be listening for that or asking some questions around those things, that just kind of naturally come up. So at the end of the call, you want to have a call to action. So Jenna, the last person we did a call with, she was just this darling gal. And at the end, I just said, so did you have any other questions? And she's like, no. I said, well, great. Are you going to join our team? And she said, I think I am. So I just asked her. So don't be afraid to just ask. Or I might say, so are you ready to get started with Juice Plus? Yeah, great. Awesome. Well, and then for me, I say, I'll jump off the call. You guys can get started. And then the most important thing for me to do as a speaker too is to also do what to the person who set that call up. What's the number one thing I need to do for her?
Edify the person who
That's
brought her.
right. Is to edify her. And so, and I always like to say, gosh, you know what? I pick something I know that's really truthful about that person. And so, like I know Jenna is, I'm using you, Jenna, as an example. I know Jenna is, she works her business hard. She's a mom who manages to do it all. And I always say you're in really good hands. She's an awesome speaker. She'll do a great job of helping you share with your friends in the beginning. And I think we're just going to have fun together, but how lucky that you get to work with Jenna or something like that. So, so make sure you're edifying the person who invited you to that call. Okay. Because your job is to bridge that gap so that their mom or their friend or whatever actually thinks about them as somebody that knows what they're doing in Juice Plus, even if they're just getting started, or even that, oh, isn't that great that Christy thought of you? She's doing such a great job of getting started, and she's just being a light for other people, right? Just by sharing. And so thank you for allowing us to chat with you today. Okay. So hopefully you guys are hearing a lot of gratitude, right? You want to have a lot of gratitude coming out. Okay. So who else? What else do you guys want to add about scheduling or doing a three-way call?
Hey, Reagan, we've done several together. Sometimes it's with business people who have already signed in, and it's to do some more edification, I think, of not me, but of the company and to bring the enthusiasm with someone else who's there, which I think is really important, to help people feel like, oh, this isn't just me against the world. I mean, I think it's a great way to bring people into the business. And so that's been spectacular. And then other times that you've helped me a lot is if I have someone that I'm talking to, and you may have already said something like this, but who's dealing with a health issue, and either they're concerned about whether they can take Juice Plus, and they aren't sure if they're going to believe me, but when they hear that other person say, oh, I have this experience, and you've always been able to give information that makes sense to them. Whether they choose to do anything after that is another story, and some do and some don't. But at least with that, they feel like they've gotten more than just me saying, oh, yay, it's great stuff, you're going to love it. There's some other information there for them. So it's not just me trying to sell something to them.
Yeah. And you do a great job too with the three-way calls. And then Judy, I think, is an expert at what should the person who invited on the call, what should they be doing during that call?
Just being quiet, listening.
Yes. Yeah, and Judy's great. She always says, oh, Reagan, I'm just going to let you talk about it. I'll be right over here, And so I try to remember to come back and say, hey, Judy, did you have anything else that you wanted to say or add, to bring them back into that conversation, So I try to remember to do that. Doesn't always happen, but I try to do that. So again, you guys, it's really about just, if you kind of think of those three-way calls as one is they're golden because they also create a triad, okay? And triads are powerful. Think about a string with 3 cords can't be easily broken, right? That's actually a biblical principle, as well as Jay Martin says, get a buddy or 2 is better. So you bring your buddy on, you've got that 3 cords that can't be broken. People feel like they are part of something. And, again, it also helps you to, maybe you don't know about Crohn's disease as much as somebody else or whatever, right? And that's a great time to bring somebody on that might have that, or somebody that knows more about it, or how the research would relate to that. And that's how we learn. So don't feel like if you're just getting started and you haven't even really been in the business that long, or you haven't done a three-way call yet, don't feel like you have to know everything. That's why we do these calls, and they're magical and they work great. And there's a good chance, like sometimes I think the last call we were on, I think it might have, was it you, Jen? I said, look, if I don't know the answer, I'll find out. I may not know all those answers, but I'd be happy to find out. So it's okay to say, that's a really great question. I don't know the answer to it, but I can find out for you.
That's such an excellent point. You guys brought up such good stuff. I love this training, and this is so perfect because I have this great kind of story that really illustrates this for us. And I shared a Voxer with my team about it. Rory had his little ear surgery this morning, and it went great. We're so thankful. But we had an amazing experience when we checked into Rocky Mountain Children's Hospital at 6:30 this morning. From the time we came in the door, we were greeted, and all along the way, the number one thing I noticed that the staff did is they edified each other. They told us, oh my gosh, you have the best anesthesiologist, you have the best doctor. And everyone was so confident in who they were as a team that really it totally dissolved his nerves. I mean, it dissolved my nerves because, I mean, when you have to put your baby under anesthesia, even only for 15 minutes, like, that's always hard, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, he is fine. And it was just an interesting process because it was obviously something very purposeful that had been built into their culture there. And you could tell that they really were proud of what they do and the work that they do. And I would recommend them in a heartbeat. And I thought about that and I thought, my gosh, when we do that with our mission and with each other, when we bring one another to life for others, that really is a service to our mission and a service to those people. And so I just think this is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Ellen. That was great. And I love that they're edifying each other, which is really the purpose, right, of doing this. Has anybody had a three-way call that did not go so well? I mean, really, like the person was like, it's not for me, or anybody ever have that happen? I have. And here's another thing is that sometimes either that person really wasn't ready to hear about Juice Plus, or they had an excuse for everything. I did a call with Vicki McGonigal about a month ago, and when I asked her the questions, like, tell me about this person, what have you shared, and what did she say? I told her before the call, I said, I think this woman, there's a good chance she could be one of these people that she's going to stay committed to not getting well, because she gets a lot of attention for her many illnesses and all of her potions and lotions and things that she had tried. And sure enough, it didn't matter what I said, she had something to come back. And you finally just have to go, you know what? Thank you so much for your time. Let us know what other information you need and we'll be right here. So get out of it gracefully, but don't feel like it was a failed three-way call, okay? Just because that person didn't necessarily do what you hoped they would do, okay? We couldn't help this person. And of course, what did I do? The minute I hung up, I called Vicki McGonigal and said, are you okay? And she says, nope, I tell you, I didn't even think I wanted to work with that lady after all of that. So, it happens. We can't help everybody, and you just got to do the best you can and just realize that, we're just listening for the need. And if there's not a need, hey, thank you for your time. We're right here. And you'll be surprised how some of those people will come back around eventually just because we were super, super sweet to them. Sometimes we're planting that little seed that grows over the next 2 to 5 years, and you just never know. But our goal is that nobody has a bad experience with a Juice Plus person or a Juice Plus product, right? And we're the face of that. So we just want to be professional. So any other questions? Any other ads? Anybody want to say anything?
May I just say, Reagan and Sue, may I just say that every time that you and I have done three-way calls together, they've always been wonderfully successful, and I always appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Oh,
I love
so
it.
true.
If I could do a three-way call every moment of the day, I would. So let's step those up, you guys. And especially when we're out talking to people about joining our culture and our team, just say, gosh, I'd love to have my friend, whoever you want to do it with, meet you, and they'd love to hear your story, and where's the commonality. And don't be afraid to ask each other to do three-way calls. I know Mel's done a lot of calls for people that aren't in her downline, and we all appreciate it, and what goes around comes around. So let's do those and find some commonality that we can create the triad, the three-way call. Deal? Okay.
Yeah, Reagan, I just want to, I just say, I think that all makes sense, because some of the problem at least I've had, is I never know when to use the three. I know when I'm going to and when I have to, but I never think about just the power of it. I have a person right now that I've thought, I got to ask Mel if she'll talk to this lady because of the situation, and she's a young mom and blah, blah. And I hadn't thought of that before. So I think talking about this, that we can all share with one another on different things and do some three-way calls with people, is a great idea. It doesn't always have to be you that we go to.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But I'm happy to do them for anybody. And I do them for Sidelines too all the time. So the only other thing I want to say about three-way calls is make sure you know how to do one on your phone. Okay. You can also do them on Zoom. I love doing Zoom three-way calls because I can see their face, and they might be saying something, but they might be doing this, or I'm not. I can say, oh, I see hesitation, tell me what you're thinking. So I love doing them on Zoom, but make sure you know how to add a call. And so if you don't know how to do that, you guys, maybe this week, use me and a friend, 2 of us, and see if you can figure it out on your phone. It's really not that hard for most cell phones, but you do have to know how to do that, or how to hit the flash button on if you have a home phone still. So, okay. And then don't be late. Obviously, don't be late for your on three-way. I think that's the other important thing, is just to make sure, we're respecting everybody's time there. So.
And Reagan, I'll chime in. So I love the professionalism of the three-way call as well, because, and maybe you touched on this and I missed it, but whenever you get on the three-way call and you're asking them, how much time do you have for the call? You're totally throwing it back and respecting the time of the person, which totally edifies our company, because it is a structured call. We know what we're doing. We are prepared. Like Erica was saying, it's really great to be prepared for that call, because it still lends credibility to the company, to the procedure that we're doing with this call, and that it is a professional thing. This is not a social call. This is a professional call, and it lends that we respect our business, we respect our time, we respect their time, and it's structured. So I really love, and I'm going to do more three-way calls, because I forget about them, like Missy said. I know whenever I have a team member, do a three-way call for introductions, and at the beginning of my business 5 years ago, I was doing more three-way calls, but I think I've lost that. So it's like, let's step that up and use those. And I think they're a great tool for us to move our business forward. And I think we forget about the power of those three-way calls.
Such a great point, Audra, about how much time do you have, to ask that in the beginning. Thank you for bringing that up. I was just thinking, time. When you're setting them up, when somebody says, hey, can you do a three-way call? I like to say, yeah, I can do it on Tuesday at this time, or this time, or Wednesday. And so, or I'll say, why don't you ask them a couple, 2 or 3 times that work for them? And then maybe one of those will fit into my schedule, and I'll try to schedule around that to do that. So that's how we want to set those up.
I'd just like to say really quick also that I really appreciate the fact that, and I'm sure all of you, any one of you, if I would ask, that you would, you would absolutely say yes. And so I just want everyone to know that, me too. If you need me for a three-way call, or, in English or in Spanish, I'm here. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And ditto. All right. Well, it's 7:29, and that's all I've got for you guys tonight. We will see you guys on Voxer and Facebook, and see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
guys.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.